Welcome to the SeraPhiend Podcast. I'm Seraphine Arocha, and today I am sitting down with Aaron Graham, my producer.
What's up?
Hello. It's been a moment since
It's been a long time since I've been on the mic.
Yeah.
But it's just because we've been working. I've been working behind that camera, you know?
Yes, you have been doing a lot, actually. I approached Aaron because he and I are always kind of, after the podcast, talking about things that we're watching, things that are inspiring us, listening to. And I am a person who, I love comedy. I mean, if you've watched the podcast, you've seen me review Ricky Gervais. You've heard me talk about certain comedy shows, comics that really inspire me and make me laugh, because the world right now is still a conundrum. It is still a little bit of a dark place. I know we're starting to feel like we're coming out of certain things, out of isolation. I think we're learning as a group collective on taking a moment to think before we speak. That's what I hope most people are doing.
Think before we act.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Exactly. So this comedy special that we were talking about today is with Loyiso Gola. He is a South African comedian. It's on Netflix, and it's called Unlearning. It's something that really resonated with me, and I wanted to talk about it because it made me laugh, but it also made me deeply, deeply cringe. So I asked Aaron to watch it, and we both had pretty different perspectives on it, because this year has been a year of unlearning for me. Mm-hmm. And I started out, hardcore with the podcast with Dr. Auburn, and addressing the fact that I felt that I needed to understand and dig deep systemic racism within myself, and also dismantling things that had been taught to me in a way of accepting it or to push it under the carpet. Mm. I was so hypersensitive this last year with trying to navigate my own racism that's been instilled within me, that it felt good to be given permission to laugh. Mm-hmm. About how awkward and how uncomfortable and how delusional we all can be about our points of view.
For me personally, it wasn't like ha-ha laughing.
Yeah.
It was more like, wow. Like, it's gone on. He's older. Of course, is he,
he's
40?
37 or 38. Yeah.
So, he was dealing with this for X amount of years. My generation comes up, and we're still dealing with the same shit.
Yeah. The thing about it that's so inconceivable to me is, we're hearing from a South African man mm-hmm. who is in South Africa during COVID and putting on this comedy show. The audience, South Africa has a very dominant white presence mm-hmm. within it, and the conversation, he starts out the comedy about Nelson Mandela. How do you begin a comedy special about Nelson Mandela? And he was talking about how in the very beginning of his life, he had an icon that represents all of the fucked upness that was going on in South Africa, apartheid, Mandela being in prison, free Nelson Mandela at 4 years old.
He was talking about, he's like, I don't even know what I was saying, but it's like, just free Mandela. Just free him. He's like, I don't even know what the point is, but free him.
ingrained.
Because he was 4.
Yeah,
Like,
and 4 years
young.
old. 4 years old. So to me, what was interesting is that I never knew that kind of it wasn't even on my radar at 4 years old. So to live in a country to where it is just common conversation, and you're 4 years old and the words Nelson Mandela come out of your mouth, it's a totally different viewpoint. Yeah. So he started out right out the gate, putting me in a place of, you have no frame of reference. And appreciating that I didn't have the frame of reference, and letting me off the hook of, you will never know what that feels like.
I thought it was funny how he also was talking about, like, right at the beginning, they were talking about how the United States is like the greatest country. But like, what categorizes America right now as the greatest country? And I'm not saying this to be like a hater of America, because I live here, of course, but like, honestly, what is so great? I mean, you turn the news on, you go on social media, and you see all these things, and it's just like, I feel like we're the opposite of great.
Yeah.
We're going downhill very fast. Very fast.
Yeah.
To the point where it doesn't seem like there's really any light at the end of the tunnel.
I definitely agree with you in terms of it feels pretty dismal right now. I feel like, it's April right now, we're recording this. May 25th is when literally we made those t-shirts. Aaron's wearing a George Floyd t-shirt that me and my husband, we made a bunch of them to go out to the protests, and me and my husband consciously made a decision of wanting to understand what was going on within our own community, and without coming to a place of, pushing people to tell their stories, we wanted to participate in the protests. We made the t-shirts. We put the statistic on the back about police and the brutality that we still are in a place where we're up in the air about what is the fate of George Floyd's murderer. I wanted to talk about this particular comedic ha special. Is I think if you're on the fence about what is going on within yourself, if it scares you to call out systemic racism within your own life or your own upbringing, what I do appreciate about this special was the way he explained his point of view as a black man
to his friends
who were white. And he depicts a situation to where he's out for a bachelor party with his friend Svet Lange. And, he already prefaces that he went to school with this white kid, and he's the white kid who's like, a little bit of literally like a shit stirrer, where he has this funny joke about blowing up poop, right? In like elementary or junior high school. And it made me laugh my ass off, but it also depicted what are the consequences for a white young boy and a South African young boy who are partaking in the same mischief. And how one goes to a school that's, for bad white kids, and then he ends up going to a Muslim school. Yep. And again, just this difference of class system. And granted, yes, it's in South Africa, but the way he describes it is, to me, it would still go on. It'd be within Kansas City.
Anywhere.
The
consequence. And I mean, it's pretty much clear as day, especially for what all we see is the consequence for a white man is different than a consequence for a black man.
Well, and again, statistically, we can just go to facts for what's on the back of that T-shirt. Statistically, it is exorbitantly higher rate that people make quote unquote mistakes in an altercation with a black person than with a white person. Mistakes are made. And again, how can we, it's undeniable that it's not ingrained in us, that it is to be feared that if you are in conflict with a black man versus a white man, that you have to be ready to shoot to kill, because God knows that black man is going to come for you. And I feel like when I was watching the comedy special, the other reference point he gave was when they were at a bar and there was a group of women and they had their handbags, and his white friend just is like, hey, can you move their purse? And ask them, like just move the purse and, we'll take that chair because I'm sure it's going to be okay.
This would only work if you're a good looking black man. Then you might get away with it.
Then you might get away with it. And I mean, he literally was like, the comic was like, Loyiso was like, are you kidding me, man? He's like, you don't understand.
I'm not going to touch these people's purses that I don't know.
100%. It wasn't even a consideration. No. And this is where I think it's a really beautiful way of discussing privilege. So many people get upset with white privilege because I feel like they do not understand the fact that in this white man's brain that is his friend, he believes it is okay to remove a woman's handbag from a chair and just push it off to the side. Number one, manners. Hello. Probably ask the woman first, can I move your bag? Number two, the fact that he's like, oh, well, her bag's resting on it. I'm more important to be sitting in that chair. Again, it can be debated. To me, and number three, the fact that he's asking his black friend to remove it than himself.
Yep.
Privilege to literally, it hit the trifecta of privilege. So to me, what I appreciated about these depictions within the comedy special was the fact of him clearly showing you what privilege looks like and why it is different for a white person to commit a mischievous act versus a black man, and what are the consequences. And again, what I love is, well, I was raised to believe all people were equal, and that you shouldn't judge anyone by the color of their skin.
And that goes to Loyisola's upgrading.
Yes.
We were taught that at a young age.
Yes.
He was talking about how you have to upgrade your thoughts and views like how you upgrade an iPhone. And we were all raised, hopefully, to be like, oh, everyone's created equal. Everyone should have the same rights.
Should. Being the key word.
So
should.
There's your upgrade 1.0.
Yeah. What pisses me off is, when people might hear upgrading, right? They're going to say, well, why do I need another upgrade? Like if I've already been exposed to this, I know what happened to George Floyd was wrong. I've listened to, court TV, or I am, I like certain things on Instagram. Fine, dandy. We are still in a place to where it is constant. We're seeing it day in, day out. There is still violence against black people. And I don't see it right now in any way, shape, or form being any less. So here's where we have to talk about the why. And the upgrading of the software is to ask questions more and more of why. The moment that we decide that, you know what, I'm good. I'm done talking about Black Lives Matter. The moment that we get comfortable and say, you know what, we're good,
we lose.
So, I appreciate people's resilience of bouncing back and trying to move forward. And even, coming out of isolation, people are like ready to get back into what? Back into the same shit. I mean, I guess where I'm at is I'm like, yes, we need to integrate again ourselves in our communities, but we need to be changed people from what we have come out of in isolation, what we have learned in this last year, and what we need to keep applying, because right now it's not a one and done.
Mm-hmm. You look at all these cases of these cop killings of Black men and Black children, and a lot of them run.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, why are they running?
That's the thing that blows my mind.
Why do you think they're running?
That's the thing that blows my mind. And again, to go back to the comedy special, what I loved is his depiction of when he is in a bar fight, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like,
you're going to have my back?
Yeah, well, the other thing is he made the joke too of, I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to be the tough guy. Mm-hmm. But you're forcing me to be in a situation to where I have to think fight or flight, right? So then he's in this fight, and then his friends come out and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll call the cops." And he goes, "For a Black man, calling the cops is like 5 or 6 down the line.
Yeah.
You're thinking about who will take a bullet for you, who's your cousin, and these are things that, again, in any person who gets on their high horse about, well, why are they running? Why are they
Well, if you think about it, anybody gets nervous when they get pulled over.
100%.
A white person gets, like, your heart starts to race when you get pulled
Yep.
over regardless, because you're like, oh shit, it's the cops.
Yep.
Imagine that, and then thinking, I could honestly get shot for no reason. Why would you? I'm not saying running smart at all.
No.
But fight or flight, like, I have the possibility of dying either way. I stay and I tell them I'm innocent of doing nothing. I get pulled over for doing 65 and a 70. It looks suspicious. Mm-hmm. I get shot. Or I run. Mm-hmm. Not saying that's what you should do. Yeah. But I run because I'm fearing for my life regardless. Still get shot.
And it's instinct. And this is the thing that makes me crazy right now with what's going on in the news, with I'm reaching for my gun, I'm reaching for my taser. You're in a position of authority. You've been given a gun legally. You, as an officer, should be trained in every single way of when to reach for the gun and when not to reach for the gun. And it is not the responsibility of the person that's getting pulled over in the car to do your work for you, mm-hmm. because you are trained. You're the one with the weapon. And
what was that Instagram post that you replied to? It says, we live in a world where trained cops can panic and act on impulse, but untrained civilians must remain calm with a gun pointed in their face.
I mean, what the hell? I mean, when you put it in that perspective, how in the world can you even justify that in a court of law? I mean, that's the thing that makes me irate is then don't be an officer of the law. You're given a responsibility, and it shouldn't be just anyone that's given this. And people can go through the police academy.
I was going to say, I think that all should fall in the police academy. They need to update their training courses, mm-hmm. their laws of engagement. There needs to be a change.
When we talk about upgrading our software, upgrading your software usually takes at least a night, right? It mm-hmm. says at midnight, and then it's done at like 7 a.m. A lot of us go, I don't want to deal with that. 7 hours is way too much for my phone to be off or whatever. The bottom line is that it takes time to upgrade your freaking software.
It's going to take more time for us to upgrade than our phones.
100%.
It's not just going to be an overnight thing, a 1-year thing. It's going to take time.
And it's going to take conversations.
Hard conversations.
It's going to take the conversation that you literally are feeling like your eyes are going to close because you're tired, because you need to stay the frickin' course. You need to upgrade your software. You need to stay in the conversations that make you so uncomfortable, because the moment that you decide, you know what, fuck this, I'm walking out. To me, this is where we as a culture embrace our privilege to a point of ignorance. And I'm like, no. We need to get to a point to where we understand that we need to hear another person out. Even if it's an ignorant, uneducated, privileged opinion, I'm going to keep asking questions to understand the why behind your absolution of this is not going to work, or I don't like this person, because knowledge is frickin' power when it comes to change. So I thank him from the bottom of my heart for giving me an hour and a little bit over to understand a little bit more his point of view, and to look at my own behaviors and my own knee-jerk reactions and consider that they may not be right, and how do I go about correcting it?
Ask yourself why.
Yeah. Well, I love where this went. I think both of us, in this last year, talk about from the moment we had those T-shirts to now full circle. It just means something so different to me now. And my what I'm so happy about is that we're still having the conversations, and we're having them in a way that's thoughtful and considering each other and
you feel comfortable speaking, because I remember the first time with Dr. Auburn, you didn't feel like you were capable of stating your opinion. But now, that's what we need. We need from everybody is everyone should feel comfortable talking about this, because open communication is the only way to make any changes.
And having an opinion is liberating, because
having an opinion is, yes, liberating, as long as you're able to listen to the other's opinion.
100%. And the beauty about having an opinion is having a stance of yes or no, and having someone say, I don't agree with you, and learning from it or unlearning it.
Right.
And to me, that's where I'm understanding, even if my opinion may be shaky, maybe I need to do more research, at least if I put it out there with someone that I respect or somebody that I care about, and they tell me, hey, I don't agree with you, I'm going to consider it now. And I'm not going to feel like I'm not going to let it stunt my growth. You've got to hear other people's opinions, even if they don't resonate or agree with you. I think that we just have to keep talking, and we've got to keep listening. If you haven't watched the Netflix special Unlearning with Loyiso Gola, please look it up. It's a great way to get your brain going. If you felt a little stagnant in this time period, and you're watching the news and you're feeling these frustrations or having questions come up, this is a great way for you to listen, to consider, to laugh, to feel uncomfortable, and maybe unlearn or learn something. So, yeah.
It was great.
It's good. Thank you for watching it.
Oh, of course.
And I love your feedback. We definitely do. We definitely do. Well, that's a wrap on this episode. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, have an opinion. Let me know below.
Yes, write those comments.
Please have those comments. And know that I reserve the right to have an opinion right back at you. So, yeah, thank you so much. Click, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you on the other side.
Peace.
Bye.